Alright guys, I decided to make this video because there's a lot of people all over the world that wonder what it's like and want to know what it's like to find apartments, or how it is to, where to move, what neighborhood to move in. Well, in New York City, as you can see, I'm on the Upper West Side. This is the Upper West Side of Manhattan. In New York City, any one-bedroom apartment will cost between $1,200 to $1,300 a month, depending on the neighborhood. However, you don't have to pay that much if you really know how to look. And one of the things that I suggest you to do is to you can go to Craigslist and make sure you search for apartments with no fee. Because if you get an apartment with a fee, they will charge you a broker fee. And you shouldn't be trusting brokers just like that, because a lot of people have been scammed by these brokers. The closer you are to the city, that is Manhattan, the more expensive it'll be. However, you can you can move to certain areas of the Bronx, certain parts of the Bronx, certain parts of Brooklyn, and certain parts of Queens, and still be close to the city, pay a little less. You will have to take public transportation like a train or a bus. It's not everything they say to you about New York City, okay? Sometimes people, when they're from out of town or from a small suburb in small suburbs, from the suburbs in the U.S., people would tell them that New York City is dangerous. Be careful where you go. Be careful who you talk to. It's not like that. Like I always hear people say, oh, the Bronx is bad. It's very dangerous. Never ever go to the Bronx. And New York City is not like that. Just a piece of information. New York City has 40,000 cops, sworn officers. Out of the 40,000, 35,000 work in the street every single day, because the other 5,000 are like, captains and lieutenants and, the administrative side of it. But there's 35,000 cops that they're always patrolling the streets of New York City. So New York City is a very safe city. You can always take any train, any bus at any time of the day with no problem. But as far as moving, if you want to find like a cheap apartment or less expensive than in Manhattan, because Manhattan, it is very, 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 very expensive. Just because it's Manhattan, of course. And I would say 80% of the people work in Manhattan. 80% of the people that live in New York City. I'll say 70, 75. But for example, in the Bronx, I live in the Bronx, and for example, in the Bronx, you can move in. You can live in Riverdale, the Kingsbridge area, Riverdale, Marble Hill, and those areas are a little bit less expensive than in Manhattan. If you look, because you have to look, you have to do your job, your research. If you really look very well, you might find something less expensive than in Manhattan. And you can also look in Brooklyn, areas like Park Slope, Williamsburg, Sunset Park, and those areas in Brooklyn. You're bound to find something a little bit less expensive that if you find in Manhattan. And it'll be easier for you to, it would also be easy for you to get to the city, because there's a lot of, trains. Also, you have to keep in mind that you want to get, you want to move somewhere where you have public transportation close, and stores and banks and laundry. These are all things that you have to keep in mind. So also that can make an apartment be a little bit more expensive if it's closer to transportation, or if it's very close to transportation and stores, that could make it a little bit expensive. So I suggest you to, also consider that. Also in Queens, you can, live in Queens, find somewhere in Queens, Queens like Long Island City, Woodside, um, Sunnyside. These are areas that are very close to the city, and again, it'll be easier for you to come to the city, commute to the city, due to the fact that there's plenty of public transportation close by. You just may have to walk maybe 1 or 2 or 3 blocks to get to your train, and then commute into the city. Another thing is in New York City, again, a lot of people come from the